Welcome to The Critique. This piece is quite something. It's this really extensive, very passionate narrative. Covers a personal journey through, elite sports, then policing.
Mm-hmm.
And layered on top is this sharp analysis of current conservative politics, specifically looking at media figure, the Charlie Kirk situation, the Israel debate. It's a lot.
It really is.
And driven by such intense personal experience.
Exactly.
So our first goal, I think, has to be maximizing the impact of that foundational story.
Agreed.
Because to really hook the listener quickly and establish that core character arc fast, that personal history section, it needs to be significantly streamlined.
I agree completely. I mean, the honesty there about the shift from chasing the NFL dream to law enforcement, that's powerful stuff.
It is.
But we spend maybe a bit too long in that intro part detailing the minutia.
College football recruiting, the combine stats.
Precisely.
But that's the weakness, isn't it? The material kind of dwells on specifics, like deciding on University of Arizona, the Stoops brothers connection.
Yeah, the 4.340 time, the 44-inch vertical, which, okay, impressive, establishes the athleticism.
But it slows the momentum, right? Before the listener even gets to the really critical political commentary. And it dilutes the emotional weight of those core turning points. We just need to get to the transformation quicker.
Much quicker. So the suggestion is basically restructure that opening. Focus purely on maybe 2 or 3 really emotionally charged, high-contrast moments. Turning points that immediately tell us about your world.
The NFL draft party devastation. Describing the breakdown, the crying, ripping the shirt, feeling mad at God.
Yeah.
And then almost immediately that powerful conversion moment during the police ride-along, shifting perspective from idolizing football players to seeing Officer Sean Payne as, and this is your quote, a freaking hero.
That's the hinge. That's the core emotional shift we need to foreground.
We need those moments to kind of collide much sooner for the listener.
So for concrete examples, maybe cut the extensive details about college recruitment. The bin of letters, your brother's career at Texas, that kind of thing.
Right.
Instead, take that description of the raw athleticism, the incredible 44-inch vertical, the 26 bench reps, and merge it directly into the story of the profound personal failure of the 2010 draft.
Okay, I see. So you establish the peak athletic potential.
Yeah.
Then, bam, immediately describe the failure. Use that image of running out of the house as the definitive sharp end to that whole chapter.
Exactly. Creates an immediate, almost visceral bridge to the new faith and police. It frames everything that comes after as a direct result of that profound, sudden identity shift.
Yeah, that sharpens the focus beautifully. Okay.
Now, let's dig into the political analysis side, because wow, there's a lot there.
There is.
And given the sheer scope of the ideas, the flow, the digestibility of the critique, it would be dramatically improved, I think, by clearly segmenting those distinct, complex political arguments.
Okay, I can definitely see what you're getting at here. The weakness right now is that the political analysis, and it's expansive, right? It goes from a psychological critique of figures like Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all the way to this deeply personal conflict you describe with Candace Owens. It's currently presented almost as a single, overwhelming stream of thought.
It is. It's a lot for the audience to take in all at once.
Yeah.
And this kind of unstructured delivery, it makes it hard to follow the shifts in focus. 1 minute we're dissecting the conservative movement's integrity, that line. Many of these people aren't who you think they are. The politicians with huge net worth jumps.
Right.
And then suddenly we've pivoted to defending Israel against anti-Semitic conspiracy. By sort of mashing these big ideas together, you actually diminish the impact of each separate thesis.
The arguments themselves are strong. They can stand on their own, but they need clear signposts.
Exactly. So our suggestion here is to introduce explicit thematic signpost breaks. Group the arguments into focused modules.
Okay.
For instance, maybe delineate the critique of the woke right figures, that whole media integrity angle. Keep that separate from the personal dynamic with Candace Owens.
Ray, and then separate that from the detailed policing and race analysis, like the discussion around George Floyd and Michael Brown.
Each section should really have its own clear internal thesis. It just allows the audience to follow the argument without constantly having to kind of mentally reorient themselves to a whole new major topic.
Yeah, like creating distinct chapters for the listener's ear.
Exactly. So to give some concrete examples, let's take the critique of Tucker Carlson's integrity.
Okay.
You detail that private text message, him saying he hated Trump while publicly promoting him. Or the, $15 million funding for his podcast?
Right, yeah.
That's really rich material. It needs its own space. So maybe present this under a dedicated, clearly marked segment. Something like, I don't know, the integrity deficit in conservative media, rather than just letting it bleed straight from the Charlie Kirk conspiracies discussion.
That makes sense. And the Candace Owens situation, that's so personal, so nuanced.
Extremely.
That whole discussion, the intense sister-like bond you describe, and the difficulty, the pain in confronting her publicly or privately, because, as you put it, I don't want to lose our friendship.
That needs to be isolated. It needs its own space as a separate, really poignant ethical dilemma.
Yeah, that isolation feels key. It lets the audience understand the unique emotional stakes there. Critiquing a friend it's totally different from critiquing someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, based purely on politics or finances.
Absolutely. Giving that personal dynamic its own space to breathe will significantly enhance the emotional depth of the whole piece.
Okay, good point.
So, let's shift focus slightly again. Let's talk about maximizing the rhetorical punch of the material itself. We know the content is high quality, the arguments are there, but how do we make sure it really sticks with the audience?
Right. So to maximize the memorability and the impact, you should intentionally use your most original and provocative rhetorical framings as anchors for the core arguments.
That's a really interesting opportunity here, because the weakness currently is that the material has several of these highly creative, really insightful catchphrases and arguments. Things like the woke Reich or a hierarchy of victimhood. And that killer question, dang Tucker, either you were fake then or you fake now. These are gems.
They really are.
But they're often kind of embedded deep within these long descriptive paragraphs.
And by burying them like that, they lose their power, right? Their potential as like editorial hooks or repeatable sound bites. We need to elevate them.
Exactly. So the suggestion is strategically reposition these vivid, actionable phrases, make them the organizing principles or the key takeaways within their specific thematic segments.
Okay.
Ensure they serve almost as the headline summary for the complex ideas they represent.
Yeah, they should feel like the thesis statement for that section, not just a line dropped into the middle of a paragraph.
Absolutely. So, for instance, when you're framing that section critiquing political hypocrisy, the shifting loyalties like Carlson's alleged changing stance on Israel and Trump, use that definitive question you posed right there in the material. Dang Tucker, either you were fake then or you're fake now. Make that the framing question.
Yeah, that's immediately punchy. It frames the whole segment, gives the audience a really clear takeaway to think about, maybe even repeat. It's a powerful, concise summary of the integrity problem you're highlighting.
Exactly. And we can apply that same principle, say, to the segment on the anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. You speak so powerfully about the danger of exploiting tragedy.
Right.
Use that concept that the conspiracies around Charlie Kirk's death are going to mar his legacy forever. Make that the central takeaway for that segment.
Okay, using that as the rhetorical anchor. It underscores the spiritual, the ethical danger, rather than just treating it like another political news item.
Precisely. By elevating these original rhetorical anchors that you've already created, the whole piece becomes not just persuasive, but really sticky, really memorable for the listener.
Makes sense.
Look, this submission is just filled with strong arguments and a really compelling personal backstory.
It absolutely is. So our critique today really focused on sharpening the structure and enhancing the overall impact of what's already a vast body of highly engaging content.
Yeah, our suggestions centered on a few key things, condensing that powerful personal narrative to really emphasize the core emotional turning points. The draft party, the police ride-along.
Right. And then creating clear thematic segments for those complex political arguments just to help the listener navigate them.
And finally, we advise really leveraging your own powerful original language. Those great phrases, like the critique of figures who are either fake then or fake now. Using those to anchor your analysis, give your core ideas maximum rhetorical impact.
So we definitely encourage you to implement these editorial changes, refine the material, and please submit it back to the critique. We'd love to see the next version.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your work with us.
Thank you.